Well, Atiku from Adamawa State, northeast of Nigeria, will be contesting again, having vied for the presidency in 2007, 2011, 2015, and 2019. The Northeast has never produced a Nigerian president, and there are talks about such possibilities. The North, as a region, has spent 8 years in power, with Southerners calling for a Southern president. Nigeria's ruling party, the APC, will hold its presidential primaries between June 6 and 8, and there are a host of issues to be considered. Talks of a Southern Muslim candidate emerging in the APC and a Muslim ticket are also in the air. Political pundits say Atiku's emergence may switch the APC's plans in its choice of candidacy, with some details considered important. Kassim Afegbua, a chieftain of the PDP, joins me now. Good to see you, Kassim. And you have openly declared, you spoke to me here on the show, that you will be working openly for the APC should Atiku emerge. Are you still keeping up to that declaration?
Very well so. I'm not going to take back my words. I believe very strongly that it has to be balance of power. After Buhari 8 years, it should be the turn of the South. I'm not going to go back on my position. I'm not sold to the idea that, oh, you belong to a party, you have to be party loyalty, that's what the party, no. When the process is leading to the outcome, fraught with illegalities, irregularity, bribery, and all of that, I won't take that for an outcome.
The man you openly supported, the governor of Rivers State, came very close to winning this. What did you think happened on the day?
Well, nothing happened other than the fact that it was just a manipulation, conspiracy, and subterfuge, political horse trading and what have you. So it's, I want to commend him. I think he was the hero of that convention. For one man who people ran all manners of commentaries against, to come out to become a formidable, opponent, is something that is cheering news for me. He is to me the hero of that convention, because if with all the noise making and famed, capacity, experience, and network of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, he had to rely on other aspirants of the North to step down for him before he could win the election, then Wike must be commended.
Now, looking at that list of aspirants, we go back to the question, is Atiku the brightest option the PDP could have had?
Of course, you should know my response. I won't go for Atiku in 2023. He tried in 2020, in 2019. We did all we could to package him, to sell him to Nigerians. He couldn't even deliver the votes in his northeast of Nigeria. And when you were starting just now, you said the northeast has never produced president. There was a Tafawa Balewa from northeast, so that should be recorded properly for them. So the point is, Atiku Abubakar cannot rally around the votes in the north. All this over sanctimoniousness, over celebration of his capacity, his network, didn't come to play in 2019. We were scoring as less as 70,000 votes in Borno, as less as 50,000 votes in Yobe and all of that. Yet, he was a candidate from the northeast part of the country. So, for me, the PDP ought to take a candidate from the south in line with the Article 7 of his constitution, which provides for zoning, is the turn of the south, and taking it away because you feel that you have the demographic advantage, to me pales to insignificance. What is key and what is crucial is for you to strike at justice at all times, equity, justice, and fairness. But that wasn't done. So let them go and manage the Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
How so that the last-minute Governor Tambuwal withdrawal was seen in some quarters as some sort of betrayal, or, in your words, a subterfuge to Wike, considering their 2019 alignment. What do you think?
Well, I think that was a disappointment on the part of Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwa. He's a good friend of mine. I wouldn't, but a lot of people were not surprised. A lot of friends were not surprised because what you mentioned, when they saw what happened, they just recall the 2, 3, 4 scenarios that have happened before them and all of that. So I don't want that to be a character indices of the governor of Sokoto State. He's supposed to be a great man, a great friend. He did tribalize Nigerian, but on that day he became tribalized. He chose ethnicity and region over nationality. He chose Nawiwi over a collective engagement across the country. So rather than take a friend who supported him so largely, in 2018, in terms of sponsorship, in terms of resources and all of that, he opted for his regional friend and associate, so to speak, Atiku. So he pandered to the interests of the North against that of the interests of his friend. So the therapy of friendship that ought to build solid relationship has been altered, and that's also not too good for democracy. But in politics, particularly in Nigeria, they tell you, oh, those people who possess those kind of skills are considered as being politically savvy. Oh, they understand the issues better. They say they get enthroned into leadership positions more than those of us who speak the truth to power. I won't bend my position. I will tell you the way it is, because I was tutored from childhood to speak truth to power at all times. So, but in politics, when you are a honest man, when you are truthful, you are more or less like a lonely man. So I'm not surprised at what happened.
Is it safe to say that the idea of having a southern presidency in 2023 is over?
Well, I wouldn't say it's over. I'm still waiting for what will happen in APC next week. By Monday, they will be filing out to elect their own candidate. I want to see what happens. Well, if they choose another candidature, there will be certain precedents that will also alter the political permutations of the country. And in 2023, there might not be a straight winner in the first run of elections. There might be a run-up. So at that point, you can begin to negotiate for power, negotiate for power balance and power, distribution. But essentially, I find it very worrisome that people are not seeing the dynamic. They are just saying power for power's sake. They are not looking at the sentiments and the emotions, that permeate the length and breadth of the country with respect to agitations, instabilities, insecurity, and banditry, kidnapping, and all of that. So for me, you need to continue to balance the power algorithm so that people will have a buy-in into the democratic process. But when you come with this kind of arrogance of thinking that you have democratic advantage over the South, and for that reason you want to ride roughshod on our shoulders, well, time will come when it will become the turn of the South. Then we will begin to rewrite the power algorithm. I just hope you won't complain then. So that's what is happening.
Now, let's talk more about the politics of inclusion, the politics of unity, which you've highlighted. You've said for equity, justice, and fair play that the Nigerian state and especially political leaders should be looking towards the southern part of the country. Let's stretch this and speak more perhaps on how important this is for Nigeria as a country.
Well, you see, politics of inclusion is very key in building or deepening democracy in Nigeria. It has to be constructive engagement. There have to be collective bargaining. There have to be robust engagement so that you address all the dominant issues of marginalization, of exclusion, issues of nepotism, favoritism, selective amnesia, cronyism, and all of that. But, in Nigeria, it's becoming like a winner-takes-all scenario. And even the winner-takes-all, the spread does not go around the country as it should. That's why you still keep hearing those kind of lexicon as nepotism playing a dominant role. So for me, I think what we need to do is to consciously tell our leaders, those who are going to be voted into office in different categories, to see the country as one and a whole. Because if people don't buy into the affairs of the union, if they don't support, your governmental policies, your governance processes and policies and programs, implementation of those policies and programs will be Herculean. And once you have those kind of scenario, the chances are that rather than perform, you will see lack of performance as we have observed in the APC present government. So you need to have political stability, which is also going to be a product of political inclusion, constructive engagement, collective bargaining, so that you can build national cohesion, you can build national conversation around policy issues, so that your implementation strategy will be bought and will be in sync with what the aspirations of the people are. But over here, you hear manners of policies and all of that, but on ground, we don't see the impact, we don't see the effect. There are youth unemployment all over the country, there are insecurity issues, there are poverty, hunger, malnutrition, impoverishment, name them, internally displaced persons and all of that. So by the time you look at the problems confronting us and you begin to ask yourself, do you need a 76-year-old man to come on stream again, to come and be, contesting and going around to campaign? And by next year, he'll be 77. Then his first time will be finishing at 81. If by accident, he becomes the president. So we must begin to interrogate all of these processes, interrogate persons, interrogate their ideas and issues, so that in the final analysis, we'll have something concrete on our table that we can chew or go home with. But as it stands today, it is still the same circus show. It's like motion without movement. And with this kind of orientation and mindset, I doubt if we can go far.
Did you think that some members of the PDP saw, the outcome just before the D-Day? For instance, former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, who left the party just in time before the primaries.
I think the point that motivated Obi to leave the party before the primary was because Obi wants to be in the ballot. He wants to be on the ballot. He wants to mobilize Nigerian youth who are drifting towards his direction now. And that is also going to affect the outcome of the general elections. Let nobody deceive you. If Obi is able to mobilize the young voters across the country, he's going to also put spanner in the works of a lot of these big parties. So no matter what political party he has taken, Labour Party or any other party, there will be a convergence of views and ideas that, yes, Obi is a good, solid material for presidency. And a lot of people are buying into him. If you go to Twitter, he's trending all the time. You go to Facebook, he's trending all the time. You go to some of these social media platforms, he'll be here, he'll be there. So I've just told you with a Kwankwaso from Kano that is going to be on the ballot of NNPP, and with the kind of influence he wields across Kano, Sokoto, Kaduna, and some of these northern states, and it will be from the southeast. You see, it will be difficult for one individual to score to third majority in 24 states of the country. And that also will lead us to a runoff kind of election. So at that point, you can begin to negotiate for power.
You spoke to me, on the news categorically, specifically, you said you see Peter Obi going into the Labour Party, and that was before he moved towards the Labour Party. And now you say Nigerians should not think that Peter Obi is a pushover. Are you also thinking of some form of alliance? Now you're talking about NNPP and the Labour Party. Is there a possibility of an alliance?
Not necessarily alliance. If they will do alliance, well, good for them. But I doubt the much I know of Kwankwaso. He's a friend. I've interacted with him. I've continued to engage with him. The much I know of him, he has a very strong movement called the Kwankwasia movement. He's got members registered across all the states of the Federation. They have membership registers. He has some good thousands of voters registered in that NNPP or in that Konkwasiya movement, which will be translated into NNPP. And by the time he takes away the votes he neutralizes the votes from Kano, your habitual 2 million votes from Kano will not be there. He's going to defray that. He's going to, take away a lot of votes from that. Then some other northern states is going to be taking away a lot of votes because it has a very strong movement called the Konkwasiya movement. By the time he's taking it away and Obi is on the ballot from the Labour Party side and is taking away from the Southeast votes, then there will be a problem of you thinking that you can strike at that two-third majority, 25% into two-third majority of the states. But you see, the point is, Nigerians, the idea of alliance may not be on the scorecard of Peter Obi and Kwankwasa because both of them want to be on the ballot. It's also good for democracy that the more the merrier. But when it gets to runoff, perhaps there can be room for engagement and for what you call alliances at that point to be able to get the required votes as contained in the 1999 Constitution before you are qualified to be a president of the country. So don't underrate Obi, don't underrate Kwankwasa with the way things are going. And I'm sure that one or two other candidates will emerge. ADC has a very strong following in terms of those who are contesting. Don't forget that Mogalu is there. Dumebi Kachuku is also there. So they by the time they come up with their own candidate, there will also be another formidable force.
Kassim, listening to you now is not election day, but it's almost sounding like an election day for us here in Nigeria. But again, quickly here, what are the dynamics? Because I'm listening keenly to the analysis bringing the Konkwasiya movement in Nigeria's north by the former Kano governor. And some say there are two powerful movements in Kano State pushed or being moved by two former governors, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso of the Konkwasiya movement, and of course the other former governor of the state. Let us in on this. If both come together, pool resources together, and pull their supporters together, will this affect the two big political parties?
Definitely. When you take away Kano, you take away Lagos, those two states, they're rivers in terms of figures, election figures. Then it will alter the arrangement. In 2019 election, the APC scored about 1.5 million votes as against PDP 450,000 votes. So cumulatively, that is 1.950. But by the time a Kwankwaso is on the ballot, you can be rest assured that APC will not score up to 1 million votes. I can tell you that with Shekarau and Kwankwaso coming together to be the same party and contesting the presidency, Kwankwaso contesting the presidency with the strength of his movement, of course, is going to alter the permutation in Kano State. Don't forget that he actually won, his candidate won the governorship election last time, but he was railroaded out of the process. They brought security and all of that. We witnessed what happened. So that means you can't push Kwankwaso away. Obi, on the other hand, is coming from the southeast. You see, southeast is becoming an agitated zone. If IPOB can stop Kumuyi from coming to Aba for crusade, you should be prepared for something sinister that will happen in the process of these electoral campaigns. We seem to be peppering down all of this because the current government has lost the resource of dialogue. You need to dialogue with people, you need to engage people and all of that. Why do you keep Nnamdi Kanu in prison? Call him on the round table, let's discuss, strike a political solution. And from there, we'll move on. People are being killed every day. They sit at home, that's affecting the economy of the Southeast. There's so much going on in the Southeast, yet you still feel that nothing is happening, or you call them a dot in the circle. Those kind of mentality, semantics or anything you call it, will not augur well for a new generation of Nigeria that should accommodate every section, every segment of the Nigerian society. So there are challenges ahead of us. You want to paper it down, that's your business. But for me, I'm frightened every day seeing the issues playing out. And if APC, PDP now take their candidate from the north. My brother, there's going to be an implosion. Just watch out and see.
Is there a dark horse somewhere?
Well, if there will be a dark horse, it will be Peter Obi, because it's gathering momentum, and there's so much time to the election. We're talking about 8 months, or 9 months in February 23rd. That's about 9 months. So Peter Obi can be the dark horse, and you never can tell. Anything can happen.
And quickly here, you said something about the Nigerian youth and how enlightened or how vibrant they have become lately, especially on social media. How can this actually, sway votes towards the region which you highlighted earlier on, talking about southern Nigeria?
Yeah, quite a lot. You see, Peter Obi is gathering momentum. Don't write him off. I keep saying this because, you see, he's taking a methodical approach to his campaigns. He's capturing a very important, mobile, agile segment of the society, which is youth. Social media is becoming so strong these days. And so by the time he continues to take up his campaign and calling on them to go and obtain their PVC, if he takes over majority votes from the southeast, chances are that the candidates of the bigger party, of course, the southeast would want to vote for Atiku, deny them the opportunity of presenting the candidate in 2023. And the man who would have approximated that in Yemson Wiki, another Igbo man from River State, was also denied by deliberate manipulations and subterfuge. So if you take away the southeast, then part of the northwest, then the votes are not going to play out the way you expect. And don't forget that INEC is now using beavers. Increasingly, minority voters are now enthroning leadership against the majority registered voters. If you look at Anambra, the people who voted are just about 10% of the total population of voters in Anambra State. That is not good news. There's voters' apathy, there is lack of interest from the citizenry, citizen participation, conscientization, mobilization is becoming low and low, and so there's a huge tax on our hands. So anybody who is able to mobilize voters may just have the day on election day. And all you need to do is to begin to expand the coast of, for example, NNPP, expand the coast of Labour Party, and they will get some inroads into this critical segment of the Nigerian society, which is the youth.
Well, Kassim Afegbua, always a delight speaking with you. We do hope we'll have you back again because, as I did say, it looks already like election day. Kassim Afegbua,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sulaiman. Thank you.
I'm Sulaiman Ali. Many thanks for watching.